How long was you overseas?
Man, I was overseas for like, let me see. I deployed for the first time in 2011, came back in 2012, so I was there a whole year. Came back home for 3 months, went right back to Afghan, and then I got out and went back as a contractor. I didn't come back until 2016.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I didn't come back until 2016.
So alright, yo, so we're live right now.
Yo, give me 1 second. Let me go get a drink, bro. God damn it.
Alright.
You didn't even tell me you were
All this time to get a
All
drink.
right.
Time, damn.
I'm about to pop mine for you.
It's about that time though.
Got my water
It's
bottle.
8 p.m.
Prime time, baby.
Prime time, soaking the limelight. Yo, who's excited for this Kanye documentary? Okay, just me.
Kanye's got a documentary.
Yeah, it's coming out on Netflix. It's gonna be a 3-parter. It's
Oh,
called
shit.
It's called Genius. Obviously spelled wrong. Comes out on the 18th of February.
Oh, it's called Genius.
So
Yeah,
it
it's
comes
called
out the
Genius.
the
Bro, that
same
shit
day as
reminds me of
Horizon
that
Forbidden
episode of
West.
South Park with the Kanye West.
It's
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's called Genius. It's spelled J-E-E-N and then Y-U-H-S.
Oh,
So
Lord.
he's literally dropping the documentary the same day as Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
Who's this?
Kanye West.
Oh. Kanye.
Here, I'll show you. Let's see what we got.
This pop out chat over here.
There you go. I'll put it up in the chat right here. This shit about to be hot.
Ooh. Genius.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of footage that like we haven't ever seen.
I'm a genius, man.
Oh, there it is
Okay,
right
so we're good to start.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I'm good to start.
Okay, alright.
Thanks for
So, yeah.
asking, Krow.
I didn't want to disturb what you were looking into, but yeah, you know it's time to start right now. So yo, let's do a quick mic check.
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Check 1 2 3. Check 1 2. Testing.
Check
I
check.
don't need to check because you lot can hear me, so.
Nah, I'm just trying to monitor the levels on the OBS. You know what I'm saying? So
Alright.
alright,
Hello,
Check,
hello.
Mic check.
Testing. 1 2 1 2. Hello, Krow.
alright. So yo, what's up? Welcome to episode 16 of Nest Talk, and this is your host, Theslykrow. And this is the show where we talk about some of the big gaming headlines and what's trending in the gaming media. And you know, just the FYI, you know, I've been actually I did catch the Rona. Unfortunately, I did catch the Omarion earlier this month, and you know, I still have a bit of a flu symptoms, but I am definitely getting better. You know, with those 2 weeks where it was definitely rough. And you know, some people say that it's kind of like your body is trapped in prison, and that's definitely the feeling that you get when you have COVID. It's definitely an unsettling feeling, and like you're pretty much glued to your bed the whole time. Like, and when you do get out of bed, it's just a very miserable feeling. So
It
it's
sucks.
it definitely sucks, bro. Like you definitely don't want to get it. So hopefully you guys are staying safe out there, and you know, wear a mask when you go outside. Sometimes you need a double mask because they're saying that, you know, the new variant isn't you know, it can go through a single mask. So you might need to get you might need to upgrade your mask, or you want to have a double mask when you go outside.
Yeah, we never got even fucking what you call it, briefed on it. We're still wearing single masks around here, bro, in this country.
Yeah, single mask here, boy.
Just
Yeah.
one mask for me.
But yo, your boy's back from the shadows, or should I say, your boy's back from the shadow realm? As you know, right now, actually, Konami did release a new Yu-Gi-Oh game, and that game has actually been popping off as of late. we had a report that the Steam users on the launch opening weekend, the concurrent user count was over 150k for Pokemon Master Duel. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel.
Pokemon
And-
Master Duel. Goddamn!
What a
Alright,
franchise.
my bad.
I know, right? But
Yeah, one of our topics is Pokemon. I got kind of messed up with that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, this came pretty late, but I'm surprised, a lot of people are still gravitating towards Yu-Gi-Oh! It's still, one of the top tier franchise. And I'm sure that the console players are also pretty high as well. So, it's definitely good for Konami and their game that they just released. And so, as always, I'm here with my guy, Agent Deli.
Hello. Thank you again for bringing the boys back together. Happy to see the band back in town. My name is Agent Deli. I'm a former AAA game developer. Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Deli is not only an ex-AAA developer, and not only does he have an extensive history of great gaming history, but he's also a dope guy in general. So I really appreciate you being my co-host and sticking with the podcast. And I also got my guy from the UK, Joker Gamer V3.
Yo, thank you again, Krow, for inviting me. Finally was able to get some time to actually come back to the podcast. Sorry for that. It took a little while. And also, yeah, man, it's good to be back. Again, what's up, Deli? What's up, Stray? What's up, Melodic? But yeah, welcome to the show. Hope you enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I did miss you on the last couple of episodes, so it's definitely great to have you again. And we do have a special guest, TheMelodicPunk.
What's going on, everybody? This is the third time I've been on this podcast, but anytime I get the opportunity to be on, I always try to take it. And yeah, I do content on YouTube. I stream on Twitch. I've been streaming Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on Master Mode to get ready for the next game. And I also do music, although I have been kind of slacking a little bit when it comes to writing, but we're going to try to put something out soon. But thanks for having me on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always good to have your insight on the topics, and it's you are a fellow Nintendo stan, so I do appreciate your points when it comes to the Nintendo topics.
Well, I think Kev kind of took the Nintendo stan title just because I haven't really played my Switch much, but once Zelda and Bayonetta 3 comes out, then I'll definitely be talking about some Nintendo stuff. But thank you for having me on, nonetheless.
Yeah, no doubt. And we got the homie Strictly Gaming.
Yo, shout out to Scuff for not delivering my Scuff today when it said it was supposed to be delivered today. Yes, I wanted to start off with that because I am salty. They better have it tomorrow. I'm just saying.
I expect a review when it's in.
Yeah.
Sure, I can give you a review tomorrow, to be honest, because this is my second one.
Yo, speaking of delays, I was supposed to get the Starlight Blue DualSense controller this week, but it ended up getting delayed till next weekend. So shout out to Best Buy.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. Best Buy is safe.
Yeah. So it's definitely been a huge hiatus from our last episode, but shout out to Bam Bam V3. He's been trying to get me back into doing the podcast. I did get a new job recently, so that did mess up a few things when it comes to scheduling. But it's good to be back with Deli and also Joker as well. And so this is episode 16 of Nest Talk, and the title of this episode is Microsoft equals good. And that's with the equal sign. This is in response to Destin's tweet from IGN. And he also did put out a video as well. He did make a tweet saying that why is it Sony equals bad, Sony equals good, and Xbox equals bad when it comes to these acquisitions. So we will be talking about that later on in the episode. But for now, let's start with actually, let's start with the icebreaker. How about we start with what have you guys been playing over the last week? And let's start with Agent Deli.
I've been playing Halo Infinite. I just reached Diamond 5. So yeah, that's all I've been playing, to be honest with you. But I did pick up Kana, Bridge of Spirits, the deluxe edition. I picked up Hades, and I picked up Guardians of the Galaxy for the PlayStation 5 as well too. So I'll be floating around playing those in the oncoming weeks and up until Horizon Forbidden West's release.
Mm-hmm. So how about you, Melodic? What have you been playing over the last week?
So I've been kind of on and off on Halo Infinite as my main multiplayer game. I love the game, but it's just there's a lot of content that needs to be there that's not there, and there's a lot of issues that I have when it comes to certain aspects of that game. But it's still a good game overall. But just be Uncharted 1 on the Nathan Drake collection. Fun fact about me, PS4 was my first Sony console I've ever owned because I've always been Nintendo and Xbox. So going through all the Uncharted's, and right now I'm currently playing God of War HD on the PS3. Playing PS3 in 2022, I know, right? It sounds crazy, but I'm playing that.
Don't knock it.
Yeah, I'm playing that. I'm playing Monster Hunter Rise on PC, and then I'm slowly going through God of War on 2018 on Steam as well. So I got a few games lined up, but I'm mainly been focusing on God of War HD.
Mhm. Yeah, that definitely surprised me with the numbers on Steam. You know, with the God of War, coming to Steam. It hit the top of the charts, and I think it had over what was the number again? I think it was over 60,000 concurrent players on Steam.
Yeah, people are showing up and supporting for this game to be on PC, and I beat God of War 2018 back when it came out on PS4. But let me just say, with the PC version, the scaling with the AMD Fidelity FX and the NVIDIA Reflex has actually been helping me you know, repel like certain enemies a lot faster than I would be in like the normal game. So really cool stuff in the PC version of that game.
Mm-hmm. All right, and let's go with the strictly gaming. And so, what have you been on over the last week?
This week, man, pretty much Max Payne 3 on PC. Been running through that. Should be done with that by the end of the week, hopefully at least. Um, been kind of dipping and dabbing in Battlefield a little bit more. I took like a little week break because it was pissing me off. But yeah, man, that's pretty much what I've been playing. Obviously, we'll be on that Uncharted Legacy of what's it? These a collection of these or these collection. I'll be on
Mhm.
that this weekend. So trying to beat those obviously before Seafood and for Bent West.
All right, that's pretty dope. And so, how about you, Joker? Have you been playing anything as of late?
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of sim racing recently. So I've been playing Assetto Corso, and then afterwards, along with League of Legends on PC, man, every now and then,
Mm.
just hop in and just been playing on it. Um, and also the fact that I've been playing a lot of Legends of Runeterra too. So I just love playing card games as in general. But however, I saw an Epic not long ago. There's a platformer. I don't know if you guys know, but during the whole Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, era that was going on, there was another platformer called Ukulele, right?
Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah, it's
No,
the
no, no,
rival
yeah, no,
Banjo.
yeah, it's a rival of Banjo Kazooie. So, bro, I've been, it's free to play. I got it on free. I think it's still free on Epic Store, and yeah, I just opened it up, and I was been playing on it, and I've been having a ton of fun with it. So
That's a
it's
game I
great.
eventually want to go through because I love Banjo Kazooie. Because I played played through the game on original N64, but like Ukulele, I've heard a lot of mixed opinions about it, but it to me, from what I played of the Steam version, it's pretty fun. I just need to set
Yeah.
time to go through it.
So yeah, I've been just like I said, I've been having ton of fun with it. I mean, it's just like nostalgia hits back, right? So
Hmm.
I'm just been enjoying the shit out of it, and I am going to be picking up some games though in next week, and I'm hoping to come back into Tekken again because I was ranked very high, and I don't know if my skills are still on par, So
I mean,
Yeah,
they introduced a bunch of new ranks, so you could get back into it.
yeah, yeah. I'll have a look into it. But apart from that, yeah, man, those are the only games I've been playing so far.
Yeah, so for me, I've actually had a lot of hours into Shin Megami Tensei 5. That's just a incredible game by Atlas. I'm over 60 hours right now. I think to complete the game it's about 85 hours. I'm not too sure on that. I did see a few people who posted their. I did see a few people who posted their Nintendo year wrap up on Twitter, and they had like over 100 hours in Shin Megami Tensei. So it's looking like a long grind, and honestly, the grind in that game is pretty intense. It's really hard to level up. And there's like a DLC you have to get in the game. It's a $2 DLC where you can spawn more. It's a creature called Mitama, and when you defeat this creature, this the Mitama creature. This is how you get more XP in the game. So it's kind of pay to win, but it's only $2 DLC, so it's not really that pay to win. But it's kind of annoying that it did come in as a form of a DLC rather than coming in the actual game. And I am also going in on Tales of Arise as well every now and then. So I've been bouncing back between Tales of Arise and Shin Megami Tensei 5. And actually, let's get into our next icebreaker question. So what is your guys' most anticipated game in February? You know, February is definitely looking stacked with all of the releases coming out. And so let's start with Agent Deli.
Forbidden West, Horizon Forbidden West. I want to see the improvements that they make on the original game. I want to see if they do story improvements. I want to see if they do new stuff like new gameplay mechanics, new gameplay systems. I just recently heard Sean Feely dive into the wind and vegetation system from Sony Santa Monica. So that was a very, very enlightening talk. So I was hoping that maybe something cool will come out of Horizon Forbidden West. As a consumer, I just, I was kind of lukewarm on Horizon Zero Dawn. So I think I'm just gonna end up picking it up to play as a sequel. But as a game developer, I'm interested in see what Guerrilla is doing with the Decima engine.
Mm-hmm. And all right, let's go with the Melodic Punk. What is your most anticipated game in February?
I'm gonna be totally honest, and people might be pissed off at me, but there's really nothing I'm interested in February. Horizon's gonna be a good game, but I haven't beaten the first one yet, and honestly, I could probably wait till Horizon goes on sale. And if I had to pick one, it would probably be Elden Ring, although that's kind of, I guess, my default game. Like, because Elden Ring looks like a fantastic game. I do like the fact that it's like an open world type of game, but it's still a Souls game at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but I guess that game is probably the one I'm looking forward the most. March is my main month that I'm waiting for.
All right, that's yeah, Elden Ring is definitely popular title amongst those guys who are into Dark Souls type of games. It's definitely a popular one. And so how about you, Strictly? What's your most anticipated game in February?
Most anticipated game in February is definitely Horizon Forbidden West. Kind of alluding to what Deli was saying about the improvements in the gameplay and mechanics and things of that nature, and also hoping that they do better with introducing the lore within the mainstream gameplay. Horizon has some really, really great lore, but in Zero Dawn it was introduced a lot in the audio logs, and that's cool, but there shouldn't be like 6, 7 in one room. You got to read through the audio logs just to get the lore of the story. So
I'm one of the
agreed.
I'm one of those.
Thing that kind of turned me off
Sorry, go
with
ahead.
that game. Oh, that's all I was just gonna say. Like the audio logs is the one thing that kind of turned me off that game.
I'm the kind of game player that does not listen to any of the audio logs. I don't read any of the side stuff. So if it's not in the form of a side mission, I'm not getting it.
Yeah, see, I
Mhm.
do, but I just don't like doing it but so much. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cool for me to do it, but they had way too many. So hoping they improve on that. But it's Gorilla. They're on point. So definitely
Mhm.
ready, man.
Mhm. Yeah, for me, I am hyped for Dying Light 2. And so if you're watching the video version of this show, and you can see the Dying Light live background that's going on the show right now. So yeah, I am hyped about the Dying Light 2, and to be honest, I didn't finish the first game, but I was I did get lost into this world. It's definitely a great world, and the fact that like you're fighting zombies, finding new weapons, it's just a very addictive type of game. And so I'm definitely excited for the second one. It looks like the second one they are focusing more on the story, having like the decisions being impactful in the story, and also improving on the hand-to-hand combat with against the AI enemies that you get to face as well. So it's that for me is my most anticipated in February. Also Sifu as the runner up as well. I think that's gonna be a dope indie title. And so how about you, Joker? You got any picks for most anticipated?
Yeah, the most anticipated game that I got looking forward to on February is my first thing is Sifu.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is King of Fighters 15, right? And that's what I've been waiting on because I'm a big fighting game nerd. So that's the one thing that I'm going to be looking forward to the most. And the third one I'll go for is basically Dynasty Warriors 9, bro. So that's going to be coming out in February 15th, I
Oh
believe.
my
So
god,
yeah,
people still play those games?
yeah, man, I still play it.
Oh man, I stopped
Right,
at 6. I'm gonna be honest with
yeah.
you.
But yeah, it's just because like I was always into that whole kind of genre anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. And I am low-key waiting on Horizon Forbidden West, but then again, I don't have a PlayStation, so I can't put it out there yet. So
Hmm.
but I still can't believe I can't get hold of a PlayStation 5 as of now, even in this country still. So it kind of sucks, but hopefully I'll get it, you know what I mean? So once I get it, that's the first game I'll be playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that definitely sounds good. And yeah, so let's actually go into our first topic, which is Pokemon Arceus. And I do wish I had Bam Bam here with this topic. So for me, like personally, I feel like the Pokemon franchise fell off over the last 5 or 6 years. The last Pokemon game I played was Pokemon Black and White. But to me, I feel like the game has just gone pretty stale. Looks like Game Freak is trying something new and fresh with this version. Instead of the whole generic, or you're traveling to a world, going from town to town, battling gyms, battling trainers. This time around, it looks like they're taking a Zelda Breath of the Wild approach. How basically the Pokédex hasn't been invented yet in this world. So you're helping the researchers, find and discover Pokemon in the world. So that's definitely, pretty interesting. But I did make a video on this. Like Game Freak seems to like always do bad when it comes to the graphics, when it comes to these type of games. Like the last game, Pokemon Sword and Shield, like that looked marginally better than Pokemon Sun and Moon, which came out on the 3DS. And like I feel like Game Freak is just being lazy at this point. Like we had such amazing good quality games on the Switch, and it's just a disappointment to see that Game Freak yet again, when you think that they're taking one step forward, they're still taking 2 steps back when it comes to the graphics department. And it's just very very bad to see at this point, considering that Switch is a console and the 3DS was a handheld. So we definitely expect better graphics when it comes to the Switch platform. And so what are you guys' thoughts on the graphics? Like, do you think Game Freak needs to step up their game when it comes to the graphics?
Speaking on this, because if you look at Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, that game does look visually impressive, but then when you look at Pokemon Sword and Shield, it's like, are you sure this is a Switch game? Because it looks like a 3DS game that was just converted over to the Switch at the very last minute. So for me, I think Game Freak has definitely kind of gone lazy when it comes to console development. Because the thing is like, with Nintendo being like this big company with multiple different like departments of development, and then having the Pokemon company, which is it's pretty much its own separate entity, besides like normal like Nintendo game development. Seeing like Pokemon Arceus, I think it's pronounced Arceus, right? Arceus, whatever. But
Yeah, I think so.
seeing it being like a more open world Pokemon game, like ideally on paper, it sounds fantastic. I think like for me, it's like, yo, I would actually play this game, but the performance kind of looks like ass. Pokemon Sword and Shield, they were very lazy when it came to the animations of the Pokemon and all that stuff. It's like, dude, you had making all these excuses on why you could not bring your 3DS Pokemon over to this game because of like animations and presentation and all this stuff. But yet you are still doing these same old, animations and all that stuff in Sword and Shield. So looking at Arceus, it's like, I hope the game ends up being, great, but it is kind of disappointing to see that game look the way it is, especially when you have games like Mario Odyssey, Luigi's Mansion 3, and Breath of the Wild looking as good as they do for what the Switch can handle.
And yeah, if you take into Game Freak's practices as of late, like I feel like they did focus on nostalgia for a bit. When you talk about Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee, like these games were reminiscent of the original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, and I feel like this captured the hearts of many Pokemon fans. And actually, in the first week of that game's launch of Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee, they did announce that they did sell 3 million copies in the first week, and these are worldwide units. And as of 2020, it has actually earned 13 million in sales. So that is definitely pretty impressive. And also considering that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, which is a remake of, I believe it's Gold and Silver, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, this game sold 6 million sales in the first week worldwide. So it looks like Game Freak is still capitalizing on the nostalgia, the fact that they are still remaking these older games. Pokemon Let's Go was kind of like a spin-off type of game, but it's surprising to see that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond has the number of sales as well.
It's crazy because with the recent Pokemon remakes and more so with Sword and Shield, a lot of fans were kind of just like, oh, we don't like this, let's boycott it, but then they turn around and still buy the game anyway. So it's like, look, if y'all want a better Pokemon game, then you just kind of need to let them know, let your money speak and say, this is unacceptable, like you all could do so much better with with the power of the Switch for what it is, because it's not the 3DS by any means. It's like the Switch is much more capable than that.
Yeah, I still stand by the fact that, Game Freak isn't like up to the caliber of like a Capcom, or like even Atlas did a bang on job with their first ever release of Shin Megami Tensei on the Switch platform. Like Atlas is a top tier developer. Like Game Freak I can't even touch like these top tier companies. And like I feel like they with the amount of profits that they have made over like capitalizing on nostalgia, and this time around, they are trying to make put a different spin on the formula that has been so successful over the years, that they are trying something new. But still, like considering that the Switch is a console, like you gotta appeal to like the casual market by upgrading the visuals of the game. Like if you look at the rocks and the trees, like they do look a little bit pixelated, a little bit blurry, and like I feel like the assets that they're using in this game, it's not not up to the snuff compared to the like the Platinum Games or Capcom or Monolith Soft with Xenoblade. Like I feel like Xenoblade is also another pretty looking game on the Switch as well.
Honestly, they should have probably let Monolith let them do a Pokemon game, because I think they could probably actually do a really good one.
Yeah,
But
that would have been lit, man. Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, because like the one thing that's got Arceus going for itself is that it's breaking the formula of the other Pokemon games, which that's been the one thing I do appreciate about the Switch when it comes to specific Nintendo franchises. Like Breath of the Wild, even though it kind of originated on Wii U, you have this like totally new open world, non-linear, you can go do whatever you want sort of game. Super Mario Odyssey, they kind of take the Banjo-Kazooie approach where you could get multiple moons on one level and it's a big open area that you can run around and explore. And even Kirby is going 3D. So the thing that I do like about Nintendo from the Switch is that they're putting new spins on all their franchises. However, I think Game Freak, when it comes to putting their own spin on Pokemon, I think they do need a little bit more manpower to properly realize their vision for the future of Pokemon.
I mean, do you think that it's just, graphical fidelity, it's time to move on with the franchise, or do you think it has a lot to do with management? Because my brother told me that all the old heads are gone in management.
It's probably both. Like I said, I'm not really a Pokemon guy. It's not really like I grew up during that period where Pokemon was all over like media, like the cards, the anime, and the original Game Boy games, but I've never really been attached to Pokemon as a game series.
Okay.
So, but it could be partially like, the higher ups like moving on to like different stuff. So,
Yeah, for sure. So how about you, Joker? Do you have any thoughts on the Pokemon franchise, or
Right. To be
how
honest
do you
with you,
feel about it?
To be honest with you, not really that bothered about Pokemon. I know a lot of people, but the last time I played fucking Pokemon game was freaking Red and Blue. That was ages ago.
Played Ruby.
Red Ruby, sorry. But
Really?
we over here, we got it as Pokemon Red and Blue. So that's what it was instead of Ruby and Sapphire. So that was the last time I played it, and after that, I haven't played it. So I'm not really that keen on it. The only other Pokemon game that I played was Pokemon Unite, but you can't even call it as a Pokemon game, like similar to Arceus or Arceus, or however you pronounce it. But yeah, nothing like I said, like a whole RPG kind of thing. Is the last time I played was, like I said, Ruby and Sapphire, and that's it. That was the last time.
So you really haven't touched the DS games? Like I feel like Pokemon reached their peak on the DS games. Like when you.
I mean, to be honest with you, I'd never really owned a DS, right? Because
Same.
Oh really?
the problem was because I was working all the time and I was just constantly, going to university at this point and everything. So I really didn't have time to even play a game on a DS at this point. I did, however, own other consoles, but even though I didn't touch it during those periods while I was studying and going to work. So yeah, it was one of those things, man. I had just skipped past it, decades ago. So yeah, that's sorry, but that's what it was, unfortunately.
Yeah, so like I said about the sales, Pokemon is still one of the highest grossing franchises in media. Like if you're taking the TCG is still doing pretty well, and the last movie that they came out with, that Detective Pikachu, that did amazing numbers as well. If you're taking the fact that Pokemon Sword and Shield, their last game, they did sell 20 million units as of December 2020. I feel like even with these questionable looking graphics, I feel like this joint is still gonna do numbers. Like there's still a dedicated Pokemon franchise, and I'm still trying to. I mean, there's still a dedicated Pokemon fan base, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around like what makes these games still popular. Like considering that we have JRPGs, which is more. Which has more strategy to them when I consider the items and your party members. Like you gotta think about having a tank, having a healer, having a DPS. So how do you guys so why do you guys think that Pokemon is still popular these days?
I want to go first, real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think part of it has to do with the nostalgia of the 90s like kids, mainly like the late 90s kids, because like with the 80s you have people who are very nostalgic for the NES, because that's when we got Super Mario Brothers, Zelda, Metroid, all those games. And I think people just got really attached to Pokemon in the late 90s, from the anime, from the card games, from the games in themselves. And you got that whole mindset of got to catch them all. So it almost feels like it's been implanted, like it's like an obligation to play the future games so you can collect all the Pokemon and everything. But also to kind of look at it from a new generation perspective, a lot of children like Pokemon just because, of some of these Pokemons are like they're really adorable creatures and stuff. Like my nephew is now like starting to recognize Pokemon, and he has a Switch now. So who knows, he might end up wanting to eventually get into Pokemon at some point. But I think part of it is nostalgia from the late 90s like kids generation, and then just the overall children appeal of Pokemon. And that's not to say like if you play Pokemon now you're childish. Like to me, like that's not true at all. It's like a game's a game, it's good no matter what. But I would say it's mainly nostalgia and just the appeal to children.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just boggles my mind that grown adults are still hyped for this title. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like some of the Pokemons in Pokemon Sword and Shield, like they did definitely have some pretty good designs. I did like Corviknight, and actually my profile is based on Corviknight, and I actually did draw it myself. So definitely proud of that accomplishment. I think I should get back into drawing every now and then. And
I think there was one Pokemon that was inspired by Gene Simmons from Kiss. Like I remember seeing something about it, some article. Anyways, my bad.
No, yeah, it's all good, man. So do you guys have any closing statements on Pokemon Legends Arceus?
Have fun. Good luck. Have fun.
Damn, nobody cares about Pokemon in
I
here.
really don't. I'm sorry.
That's crazy.
I'm trying. I'm trying not to sound rude, but I just don't care, brother.
Yeah, I don't give a damn about Pokemon.
Oh,
Get him
I ain't played that shit since Pokemon Snap on the 64, man.
oh shit.
Oh, head.
Yeah,
See, like-
man, no
Yeah, man,
shade to
that's what I'm
nobody else,
saying.
man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Like
I
I'm
just-
not into it, but I like talking about it from the perspective is that it's one of Nintendo's franchises, so obviously it's going to be
I
acknowledged.
just want to know what y'all's
Yeah, I
obsession
feel
with the graphics overhaul is. Like, is it really that deep?
What was that? I didn't catch that.
I want to know what y'all's obsession with the graphics overhaul is. Like, do you guys really think it's like necessary to push Pokemon to the next height, or like Pokemon's just always gonna sell?
I mean, I think Pokemon's going to sell regardless. Like you can make that game look like an Atari 2600 game, and I think people are still going to buy it.
Yeah, this man said Atari.
Yeah, just have like one yellow square, and that's Pikachu right there.
Actually, it's funny you bring up the older systems. There was actually an article by Paul Tassi on Forbes, and he did compare the graphics looking very shady, and he did compare this game to a GameCube title. So I feel like that's kind of a stretch, man. Like this is not anywhere close to a GameCube, type of graphics. Like the character models do look pretty decent, and some of the Pokemon designs as well. So yeah, that's kind of a reach, man, with that statement. But I do agree overall that Game Freak, they are a lazy developer when it comes to having good assets and in their games, and it still looks pretty blurry with the textures in the world. It's just a very jarring experience overall. So yeah, Game Freak, you definitely need to step your game up, or you never know, man. Like I think the fan base is still gonna gravitate to this game, and it's still gonna do gangbusters when it releases.
Yeah, we can talk
So-
about the criticisms that this game gets, but knowing Pokemon fans and knowing like some of the big like Nintendo fanboys, they're gonna buy this game regardless. So it's almost pointless to like talk about like the downsides of this game because people are still gonna buy it, unfortunately. But
Mhm.
shout out to them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a bad look on Game Freak, but they are still getting away with it, man. Like it's crazy how it's crazy how they keep getting away with that. So let's actually move on to our next topic, which is Microsoft's acquisition on Activision and Blizzard. So I'm not gonna go too deep into it. I'm sure that many of you guys have listened to other countless podcasts talking about it. But just to be brief here, Microsoft did take advantage of the fact that Activision was at an all-time low, considering that they did have allegations, with the sexual assault allegations and some of the decision making that Bobby Kotick has done over the past couple of years. It was pretty questionable. The fact that he did lay off some staff and just to meet like financial the financial targets, and he did also wanted to make COD an annual release cycle, which kind of which is kind of it's a greedy move by him. And so I wanted to pass it to Agent Deli. And what were your initial thoughts and reactions to Microsoft's acquisition?
A part of me didn't care, to be honest with you. I was like, oh great, another another merger or whatever it is, an acquisition. And then I thought about it and I started like reading the news because I hadn't really been in touch with the whole Bobby Kotick stuff past like him trying to kill somebody. So I was like, dang, there's some new stuff that has been released since that happened. So I was more worried about the workspace and the work environment, to be honest with you, more than anything else. As for the games, I know the hot topic is, where the games are going to be, where's this, where's X, where's Y. At the end of the day, as long as everything stays multi-plat, I don't really care. And if it's exclusive, then I also really don't care. But I do think that the more things that stay exclusive, it kind of hurts the industry overall in general, just for the fact that now you have this situation where you have to, like, if everything is going to Game Pass, like you buy into the Game Pass, and I've spoken at length about the subscription service model, and how it can hurt and help the industry. But we're in this area with the subscription model, much like how Netflix and Blockbuster were in the early 2000s, where we don't really know where it's going, right?
Mhm.
And if you look at the financial status of Netflix, they operated in the red for several years. And then, of course, like until they could build up a large enough library to be sustainable, it was always questionable about how their movies were made, how their movies were developed. And then, of course, if you look at streaming services akin to something like Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, whatever it may be, artists there are struggling to make enough money. So if I were to move laterally and stream games and, rent games like that, then I am more concerned about quality, about the health and wellness of the devs that are subscribing to these services to host their games. But at the end of the day, I'm happy with Game Pass. I'm happy with Stadia. I'm happy with everything because it allows people to play games. But I'm just weary of exclusives. I'm wary of subscription services. That also goes for EA Access, Ubisoft Plus, and a bunch of other stuff as well. PlayStation Now. I'm sure we'll eventually get a revamp, so I'm sure that will also be a concern as well too down the road. But just in general, that was my main thoughts about the acquisition.
So how about you, Joker? Did you have any initial thoughts and reactions to the Microsoft acquiring Blizzard and Activision?
I mean, like, to be honest with you, I mean, it's all good for Microsoft acquiring, Blizzard Activision. It's everything. Like, I agree with Deli over there. I'm more concerned about the workers and, environment, how they're working and everything. Because I did hear that there was a lot of bad shit, crazy that was going on in Activision Blizzard, and every now and then it just keeps popping up on my feed. So I hope the working culture within the company improves for everyone, and also, you know, when it comes to if the games are going to be exclusive, this, that, and everything is like, until they make an actual announcement about it, I'm not going to dwell deep into it, because right now it's all a fan theory. Um, so till then, I'm not going to say anything about it. When they do make an announcement, it's like, okay, so this is what's going to be happening. This is Then I'll have more to say. But as of now, it's just that they have acquired it. We don't know what is going to happen, what's going to be in the future, this, that, and everything. It's all up to Microsoft now what they're going to do. So, till then, I'm not going to say anything about it, bro. And I don't want to um, kind of say in a way where people will take that, like, very deeply, and then start ranting on about it. So yeah, I'm good for now. I just hope the workers, are treated better, and they're more
Mm-hmm.
happier, and um, looking forward to actually creating some games that we as consumers will enjoy. Do you know what I mean? So that's it, man. That's my best interest in them, really, at this point.
Yeah, you definitely made a good point on the whole like the well-being of the workers. So that's definitely a good one there. And so let's pass it to the Melodic Punk. And what were your initial thoughts and reactions to this acquisition?
Well, just like everybody else, I woke up, I checked my phone, I checked Discord, and I checked Twitter, and I saw the big news, and it definitely like woke me up really quickly because I was like, "Holy crap, this is a really big acquisition. This is like Disney buying Fox big, especially with all the franchises that Activision owns and all the possibilities that can come from this." Obviously, it's gonna take a while before the deal closes. Obviously, they're gonna have to go through some sort of regulation with the government to see if the deal can happen, which I think it's going to happen if they allowed AT&T to get Time Warner and Disney to get Fox. That Microsoft's going to be able to get Activision, especially since they're third place when it comes to gaming revenue. Like Deli and like Joker has said, the number one priority is to make sure that like the work environment at Activision and Blizzard is much better, less toxic, and just hopefully like they will be able to take care of the people that are working for those companies. But in terms of the exclusive talk, I'm of a different mindset. If you're spending $70 billion, if I was Microsoft, I would be doing everything I can to keep that stuff locked down to Xbox and PC. I know it's not the most popular opinion, but if we're going to look at this in a realistic scenario, that's what you're going to do. Because they've said this, Phil Spencer have said this whole language of we're going to honor all the deals with Bethesda and all that stuff, and that's great. You know, any
Mm-hmm.
ongoing game that's on the other platforms should be ongoing because the people that are on PlayStation playing those games and the people that are going to be getting on Xbox and PC to play those games, everybody wins. Microsoft's going to get revenue from that. But of course, we see that Starfield is Xbox exclusive. So this is kind of like their first big exclusive when it comes to that acquisition. Now, I know that Call of Duty has been a very big marketing push on the PlayStation console, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. Like I said, I think they're going to end up trying to find a way to make that exclusive, but keep Warzone on every platform because when it comes to Call of Duty, it's like a lot of people that I know jumped from Xbox to PlayStation when they figured out that all the maps and DLC were going to go to PS4 first. So, giving that you have that big of an IP for casual gamers, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it affects the market going in the long run. But other than that, like to see the possibility of franchises like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Guitar Hero,
Mm-hmm.
all these game IP that Activision owns, like I am looking forward to the idea of possibly some of those games getting revived. And if they buy if they make a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake, best know that I'm going to buy that day one because I 100%ed Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 when it came out on PC. I got all the collectibles in both games, so just know that I will be there regardless of what platform it goes on if they decide to continue Tony Hawk.
Do you think it'd be more plausible if they kept Call of Duty multiplat and then everything else exclusive?
It's
Just because Call of Duty obviously is the shining star franchise. It's the most well known.
I mean, it's possible, and I wouldn't be mad at that either because, like I said, it's a win-win scenario. It's a win for Microsoft because they're going to be making money off of this, and they are going to be able to put those games into Game Pass while PlayStation players can just stay on PlayStation and play Call of Duty. But if I wanted to be cutthroat and be a competitor, I would, like I said, keep Call of Duty locked down on Xbox. But the one thing that I am kind of afraid of when it comes to this acquisition comes down to the consolidation of the gaming industry, because you have people like Tencent, you have Microsoft, in some less effect you have PlayStation that's like kind of buying up all these different studios and developers, and it's really kind of like taking away choices when it comes down to what, you know, studios want to work for which developer and all that stuff. So indie games are going to be like the one thing that's going to be very important to like see going in the future. But the whole Call of Duty thing is just the thing that has me nervous on that in particular, is that I feel like when it comes to Microsoft's exclusives, they're making games that are meant for Game Pass, meaning that they're releasing games that are just kind of like cookie cutter, like it's a great game, but it's only 60% complete. So we're going to continue updating this game, adding monetization practices, microtransactions, all this other stuff. And eventually it's going to get to a state where it's going to be worth money. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. But I mean, there are exceptions to that rule. Like Psychonauts 2 was my game of the year last year. And granted, Psychonauts was originally a Kickstarter game. Microsoft funded that game so that way the developers didn't have to cut out boss battles and all this other stuff. So there are like there is potential for a lot of the franchises they have to be that one game that you can just be like, okay, I'm going to get into Game Pass. I'm going to play the single player game. I might even possibly purchase this game because I feel like it is a complete product. But then you got all your multiplayer titles like Call of Duty, Halo, Gears, where you kind of have to think about the future of those games and all the practices that are to come from that. So we kind of have to wait and see at this point.
So I did have a question in regards to that. So if Microsoft does intend of making Call of Duty, exclusive title on their platform, does that mean that they're not concerned of the the overall profits that they may be earning on the PlayStation side?
I mean, either way, they're going to be making money based on that franchise. So for them,
I think they'll make money whether or not. Like, obviously, we don't have access to the financial, numbers. But let's say they do take a loss, right? If we look at the revenue from last year and the year before that, right? Let's take away 40% of that from just PlayStation alone. I'm sure it might be larger than that, might be smaller than that. I don't know. 40 is just a nice even number. Actually, let's just take 50. 50 is a nice even number, right? So if we do 8.8, so $9 billion, we know 2.5 of that is King. So let's round that to 3. So now we have $6 billion to play with. So let's remove $3 billion. So if Call of Duty is, let's say, like $3 billion, right, worth of that revenue, like, yeah, obviously that's a large number, and that's essentially like a third of your profits for the year over the last couple of years for just one franchise or whatever it may be, or maybe smaller than that, who knows. But a third is still like quite a large number to be missing, right? And I know that obviously Microsoft has got some deep pockets in other industries. Obviously, gaming isn't their first endeavor. So it's not as if they're, missing the cash or even worried about the cash, to be honest with you, because I know a while back they said that Xbox was, Microsoft just didn't care if Xbox made revenue. Like,
Xbox since its inception has made like zero profit, even on original Xbox.
It was just a part of something Microsoft wanted to do to expand its horizon. So yeah, if we keep that same philosophy, like, does it matter if the Xbox division of Microsoft makes money? I guess not. So it wouldn't really make sense for them to just care about profits if that's their motto going throughout the last 2 decades since the original inception of the Xbox, like MelodicPunk said. If they just lock it to exclusives and then they just say, hey, we'll just take the revenue cut, but we'll make it annual, so it's not like there will always be a revenue cut if they made it semi-annual. So they move off of annual, right? So there already is a revenue cut there. So if they take that into account, they'll just be like, okay, whatever. Like, we'll just since we're already taking a revenue cut year on year, and let's move this from a 3-year development cycle to a 5-year development cycle, then they wouldn't be making any money anyways off Call of Duty if it moves off of the annual cycle. So yeah, like going exclusive, not going exclusive, it may or may not hurt Microsoft, and if it does end up hurting Microsoft might not even care. So
Yeah, and like people are all worried about like, oh, well, Microsoft's not making money off Game Pass. I'm like, dude, it's Microsoft. They're making money off Windows. They're making money off Microsoft Office. They're making money off the cloud. It's like they really don't care if they make money in gaming or not. They're just trying to get the name out there. They're trying to get their user base up. But of course, obviously, I think if they go the exclusive route with Call of Duty, I feel like that could help push console sales, therefore pushing more Game Pass subscriptions. So I think if I had to, think as like a cutthroat businessman, which obviously I'm not a businessman, but I would say like, look, we know a lot of people want this game on PlayStation, but hey, we didn't get Spider-Man. We didn't get all these other timed exclusive deals that Sony's got. So if you want to play Call of Duty, sorry, you got to buy PC or buy an Xbox.
Yeah, and
That's
if I
just
was
how I see it.
if I was in the boardroom with you, I would say, yeah, I agree. We obviously know that we're in a software-centric, or we're moving to a software-centric model, and on the hardware base, like we haven't really been doing too hot this last decade. So let's stay where we know is our comfort zone. So let's stay with Game Pass. Let's stay with this because, I think they said that there was a 40% jump or 50% jump in Game Pass subscribers year on year. So from 18 to 25, that's a large number. So yeah, like if we just stay here in our comfort zone and, stay with the new consoles that we have, the two new ecosystems, well, the one ecosystem we have, but the 2 new SKUs that we have, then we can kind of just slowly build hardware sales, focus on software sales like we normally have, right? Because we have an outreach of like 1 billion PCs. Then we have outreach of potentially 1 billion customers. So let's just move it to software centric, and then if things go really, really well with these acquisitions and exclusives, then we could push. Then hardware sales will follow relative to software sales. It may not follow in the sense that we want it to. Like obviously, we want everybody who makes a product. Punk knows this, and I know this as a game developer. Like Punk, if you make a song, like obviously the idea is that everybody wants to like the song, right? Like nobody wants to make a crappy product. So they obviously want the Xbox to sell. They obviously want Game Pass to do well. But if Game Pass does well, conversely, Xbox sales should go up. Should.
Yeah, because I think the only way Call of Duty goes to PlayStation after this deal closes is that if Microsoft tries to get Sony to put Game Pass on their platform. But a lot of people bring up this idea of like, oh, it'll be a GIMP version of Game Pass where they're only going to put the third-party games there. And I'm like, honestly, I could see them if they do Game Pass on PlayStation just be cloud streaming, which would be very unfortunate, but that's
a
kind
low
of the
blow.
direction that they're going. Yeah,
if
if
you want the proper experience, you gotta invest in a PC or Xbox. If you want the proper Game Pass,
if you want the native game experience and all that stuff.
Yeah, so you definitely made a good point. So you definitely made a good point that Microsoft is they are still $1 trillion company, and they do make their revenue elsewhere. And even with the $70 billion loss, some people are claiming that they can make this money back within about 2 years. So if you consider their other software markets like the Windows sales, like the Microsoft Office and things like that. Like they're thinking like there's a claim out there that they can make this money back within about 2 to 3 years. So that's it's pretty interesting to see if they do make COD exclusive or not. But Phil and Satya, Satya is the CEO of Microsoft. They are making this whole big deal of the metaverse in gaming. Like we want to reach 1 billion gamers worldwide. So I do think having COD exclusive would help in attracting more and more gamers.
So
in that aspect.
Let me bring up this question since we're obviously probably somewhat thinking about it. Do you all think PlayStation should do anything to counteract this?
No.
Okay. Deli Krow?
I mean, I think PlayStation just let it ride it out. Wait until the deal goes on. Let's see where Xbox moves, and then look for like a 1 to 2 year return on investment cycle and try to see where they go from there, right? Because if I were PlayStation, I wouldn't jump the gun to have a reaction, right? I wouldn't make a emotion-filled decision in reaction to this acquisition, this purchase, this business decision, right? So I would just wait it out, see where things go, and if PlayStation revenue like genuinely takes a hit, like right, like let's say the stocks drop permanently, so they physically lose $2 billion worth of stock, and then of course their revenue goes down as well too. Then they would be like, okay, look, something's got to be done ASAP. But as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I'm to my knowledge, Sony's only got $16 billion cash in hand, right?
Mhm.
They can really make so many acquisitions with that, or they can only make so many investments, right? They can alternatively open up 10 more studios to match the 32 or 33 that Microsoft will be having in the next 18 months or sooner. I think the deal might close by the end of this year, but that's just me, personal opinion. So yeah, they could internally invest in their own studios and create new IPs to kind of flood the market with things that are similar or more advanced, or all in the same avenues as what Blizzard and Activision are offering. Or again, they can make an acquisition, but at $16 billion cash on hand, they could really only pick up like Square, Capcom. They don't have enough to buy EA. So, and Ubisoft.
They definitely don't have enough to pick up Take-Two.
Mm-mm. And Ubisoft is a family-oriented company, and I don't believe that the Guillemets are selling anytime soon, because you would have to buy out their 20% share of the company and then buy the company itself. That's a lot of money. So even if Ubisoft's not quote unquote worth a lot, that's still, you still have to pay something like Microsoft paid up to 45% more, just to acquire it. So yeah, I just don't see Ubisoft or these larger publishers being a real net profit for them, especially with the cash on hand that they currently have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so when it comes to Sony, there's no doubt that they still make quality exclusives, single player exclusives. Like Spider-Man is still a big seller for them. Like they got the Spider-Man franchise locked down on their platform. But I guess the only flop was Days Gone as of late. Like all of the other single player IPs was doing really well for them sales wise. And actually, I did want to get into this next topic, which is there is one camp downplaying the deal. Like many people are saying that if you take in the franchises of Blizzard, like many of these franchises are old and dated, and this is kind of like akin to Microsoft buying a golden dustpan. So how do you guys feel about?
Okay, wow.
So yo,
that's pretty aggressive, yeah.
So yo, shout out to All Day from Scumcast. He made that comment. This is Microsoft buying a golden dustpan.
Yeah.
Yo, that killed me though. So yeah, like if we take in like the fact that even with Activision's back catalog, they are still pretty old and dated. So how do you guys feel about the statement? Like, do you think these franchises don't give them a proper leg up in the gaming industry?
Well, they would have to find a way to revive those franchises because Guitar Hero, I think, can still be a relevant series to this day. Because a lot of people that I know who aren't gamers love Guitar Hero and Rock Band when those were relevant. However, the situation with Guitar Hero is going to come down to one, music licensing from these record labels and artists, and then number two, depending on how they want to manufacture the controllers and all that stuff, whether or not they want to do like Guitar Hero 2 and 3 and use actual real life guitar models like from Gibson guitars. Because like for those that don't know, Guitar Hero 2 is based off the Gibson Explorer guitar, and then Guitar Hero 3's guitar is based off the Gibson Les Paul. And then Guitar Hero Live and World Tour and all that stuff, they decided to just do like a generic controller because I guess they didn't want to give a bunch of their money over to those guitar companies for licensing their brand and all that stuff. So it's like Crash Bandicoot, yeah, it's kind of a dead franchise. A lot of people came through for the remake of those games, and Crash 4 unfortunately didn't sell very well. I actually just bought Crash 4 used, so part of that's my fault. I should have bought that game sooner. Spyro, I don't even know if that's like there's an argument to be made for a lot of these old franchises that no one wants and everything, but I think Tony Hawk sold decently enough to where that franchise in particular could actually make a comeback. And you know, you got an audience for all the Blizzard stuff because the PC guys, they love Diablo and they love StarCraft and all that stuff. So as long as they're able to get those games like, you know, made properly and not in the states that they're currently in right now, I think people will come through for certain series and everything. And I want to backtrack real quick if that's okay, talking about the what Sony should do. Because I mentioned on my channel, it's like I agree with Deli. They shouldn't hop out of their chairs and just spend money that they don't need to spend yet. Because obviously they got, you know, Horizon coming up, they got God of War coming up, they got Gran Turismo coming up. They're exclusive IP. They're gonna be out there selling. But I think there are like 3 small baby steps that they could take if they are really worried about this. Number 1 being doubling down on the PC ports, because obviously God of War is doing well on PC. I think Days Gone and Horizon did decently, but God of War just exploded on Steam recently. And then number 2 would be for Project Spartacus, focus on backwards compatibility when it comes to PS1 and PS2. PS3 may not be possible because of how the system architecture was, but one of the things that Microsoft has the advantage of is being able to go back in their back catalog and make those available to their own consumers. And with Sony having a whole legacy of PS1 and PS2 games, both exclusive and from third parties, I really think that they could compete with just some of their old IP if they were willing to either revive some of those games or offer a way to play those legacy titles. And then number 3, that's when if they're really are struggling, you buy a company that's willing to sell. Keyword is willing, because just because you want to buy a company, you got to make sure that company is willing to sell. So I would focus on a Japanese company like Sega or Capcom at that point. But again, they would have to want to sell. But that's basically what I have to say about those 2 topics.
So yeah, Melodic, you definitely did mention the StarCraft, and that StarCraft 2 campaign was definitely pretty epic, man, on PC. Like it was a really well done campaign. And when it comes to the cinematics, like Blizzard is definitely top tier when it comes to the cinematics. But when you see the Warcraft trailer, when you see the StarCraft cinematic trailer, like they just make like movie quality experiences when it comes to their marketing and things like that. And it'll be pretty interesting to see what Microsoft will do with these IPs. I think it would be cool to see a StarCraft RPG. Like you take some guys from Bethesda, you take some guys from Blizzard, and see if you can make a StarCraft RPG. Like I feel like that'll be pretty dope to see. So on this topic, actually, which dormant franchises would you like to see Microsoft delve into, or which game would you like to see specifically from this Microsoft Bethesda and Activision deal. Like, did you guys have any games in mind of what you like to see from this acquisition?
Let's say Tony Hawk Pro Skater and Crash Bandicoot, especially Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
I'm just like literally hoping they'll create a new IP. That's it. Because I'm saying that this is two big companies, right? So they will have the talent and they will have the staff to provide those kind of things, like, to have all these resources. I'm just hoping that they will actually put it for good use and create a thing. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy for all the old games to be revamped and redone and everything like that. But when a big company acquires another big company, right? I just want them to utilize that talent pool that they have and give us something to look forward to. Like, oh, right, this is the new. Oh, okay, so now I can see why they acquired it. Okay, so I want to know what's going to happen now and give us something like what everyone has been expecting in a way. It's like, okay, so two big companies can give me something cool. That's great. Otherwise, acquiring everything and redoing all the things is all good and all, but what is the point behind it after that? You know what I mean? So I just hope that they give me something new, something exciting, and something to look forward to.
So would you guys be amped for a prototype remake or anything like that?
Look, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a fanboy. I want time shift because I put a lot of money and energy and just time into playing the multiplayer of that back on the PlayStation 3, and I want a 32 because I just really, really, really like that game.
So by the way, Deli, I don't know if it's just me, but you've been botting like pretty hard as of late, so I think you could maybe try and reconnect. Yeah, try and reconnect.
Can we get a hashtag melodic punk for Guitar Hero revival in the chat?
Hashtag melodic punk.
Go do motion capture and all that stuff, licensing out original music. That'd be cool.
Hello?
Microsoft
Yeah.
have to buy me out.
Yeah.
It's going up. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. All right. So let's actually move to our next topic. I did want to get into this point made by Destin Legary from IGN. He did make a statement. He did make a tweet on Twitter as well as a video with his statement. And his general consensus is that when Sony acquires the studios, it's there's a perception that Sony equals good, but when Xbox acquires studios, it's Xbox equals bad. And he does say this in his video. I don't think that what Sony has done is bad per se when it comes to their acquisitions, and I don't think what Microsoft has done is bad per se either. But how come when Xbox does it, they are looked at as evil, but when anybody else does it, like Sony, they just look the other way, nobody cares. So how do you guys feel about this perception, like the fact that there's also been another argument that Xbox is becoming a monopoly, the fact that they are trying to be like they're trying to consolidate the gaming sphere by with these big acquisitions. So how do you guys feel about Destin's perception comment here?
So
Go ahead, Joker.
I have one thing to say. He's a dumbass, right? First of all, because I don't mean it in like a toxic way, but the way he's wording it, he's playing the game very well, right? So the whole entire thing is just like increasing views on YouTube by, saying all sorts of shit. I watched that video and I'll tell you right now that he's a dickhead for even saying some shit like that, right? There are many things that I have gripes with it regarding that video. But look, at the end of the day, it's monopoly or not, whatever it is, it's like they're doing what they want to do. All right, first of all. Second thing is like No one said that it was an evil thing, right? No one said. He's just putting words in people's fucking mouth just so he can get this whole entire thing like, oh, you know what? I agree with Destin, but he's just a fucking weirdo. I watched most of his fucking videos. He's just a fucking weird creature, right? So that's why I don't want to like get in more, because the more I think about that video, it's just making me more angry. That's it.
See,
So you don't like him because he's an Xbox fanboy, or
I know.
can you go
I
deeper
have
in that?
look. I have a lot of friends who are Xbox fans, right? I have a lot of friends who are PlayStation fans. Me personally, I'm a PlayStation guy, right? But it doesn't mean that Xbox is evil for doing that thing, right? And also, who said about anything about it's okay if Sony does it? Like, look, the only difference is Xbox went and bought a publisher, right? And Sony was just getting these small supporting studios and giving them the choice of things to do, right? So go ahead and you can say anything that anybody wants to say about it, but at the end of the day, acquiring a publisher is different to acquiring a studios, right? End of story. That's all it is. But he's just sitting there and comparing it to studio and publishers like as if it's the same thing. Like, it doesn't make fucking sense to me.
So Deli or Melodic, you have any thoughts on this perception? I do think it is factual. If you look on Twitter, if you look on Reddit, like there is this perception bias that is against Microsoft.
I with Deli muted, I guess I'll go ahead and go. And when it comes down to the monopoly talk, can you really be a monopoly when you're in third place when it comes to both console sales and gaming revenue? Like, can you really become a monopoly when you're in third place? No. And the thing is, it's not a monopoly because Microsoft is competing with Tencent and other studios that are trying to acquire developers and publishers. So if we're gonna point the fingers at Microsoft, you should point the fingers at Tencent as well. Like, if anything, it's gonna be more of a, what did you call it? Oligopoly, I think is the right term for it. Where just like multiple companies consolidate in the gaming industry. Joker, were you gonna say something?
No, I'm agreeing with you. It's like, really, like, do you class it as a monopoly? No, it's not. It's not a monopoly at the end of the day. Like, if you want to point fingers, you can point fingers at many other companies that way too. But I agree with you on that statement, though.
And the thing is like the small, like, I don't really care for what's being said on where is it from, IGN. It's just console war stuff that I don't care for. But I will say that people that are saying that this acquisition's evil, how many times have we seen PlayStation get exclusive content for games like Call of Duty, or see timed exclusive releases for games like Crash Insane Trilogy and all this other stuff? I think it's no better. Like, to me, Microsoft buying that entire publisher is no better than Sony trying to pay for timed exclusivity on their platform. Like, if anything, you'd both have to like see the good and bad on both sides. And the thing is with Sony, is just they do well when it comes to first party games. If anything, this acquisition is probably going to force Sony to invest more into creating multiplayer titles, because we're really not seeing any sort of exclusive multiplayer experiences on PlayStation except for factions from The Last of Us 1, but that's from a remaster of a game from 2014. So the thing is if anything, it's forcing Sony to be like, okay, it's your turn to, step it up when it comes, like, if you want something that's going to be like the core Call of Duty experiences, you have franchises or possibly new IP that you could make to kind of compete in that sort of space. So for me, like, when it comes to the whole good versus evil thing, I don't really care. It's console war stuff, but I think we can point fingers at Sony when it comes down to the whole, well, then, why are we the bad guys for buying the publisher when for all these years Sony was paying for exclusive timed content on their platform when it comes to certain Activision titles?
Yeah. So let's actually, I did want to move on here to what Dustin is saying here, and you guys can critique it if you like. And so let me go on here and go on to Dustin's point. So he did say that Sony has been gobbling up companies for yeah, he's been gobbling up companies that have been fostered and nurtured by Sony. The fact that and he did, when he did say fostered and nurtured, he did make like exaggerated like quote motions. Because that's what the Sony fan base is saying, right? Like the fact that Sony, when they acquire companies, they have been fostered, they grew up naturally from Sony. The fact, like, if you take it for instance, like Insomniac, they did make, I believe they made like over about like 10 to 15 games for Sony before being actually acquired, eventually acquired by Sony. So yeah, so to go on his point, he does say that Sony did buy 5 studios last year. Valkyrie Studio at one point did make Halo Infinite, and they also did make Forza and State of Decay 2, and now they are a Sony property. How about Firesprite? They did make The Persistence. I don't know what this game is, but that's what he said there. Bluepoint, they did make Metal Gear and Titanfall on the Xbox platform. Nixus, I don't agree with the statement of Nixus, because Nixus is honestly like just a PC port company. Like I don't buy into what he said about that. The fact that Nixus helped make the Lara Croft and the Lara Croft franchise, and they also did port a few other games on PC. He did say that Insomniac, when they were making Sunset Overdrive, they made the tech that eventually led to it led to Spider-Man being so successful, because Xbox actually invested in the Sunset Overdrive property. The fact that like the mechanics used in that game were eventually it led to the success of Spider-Man, and the same systems that were used in Sunset Overdrive were also used in Spider-Man. So he makes a big deal about that as well. So how do you guys feel about this statement that Sony is is stealing properties from Xbox in a way, when they are acquiring these studios? And also like the fact that these studios have been fostered and nurtured by Sony.
I mean,
So-
honestly, I think it's better for Sony in their kind of like advantage when it comes to buying studios like Insomniac, and even like Naughty Dog back in the PS1 era, is like they create such a good relationship with these developers where it becomes almost second nature, like natural, when it comes to developing games over there. Because like that is the one like critique that I do kind of have about Microsoft when it comes to some of their acquisitions, is like, do you all really fit kind of like this space that Xbox is trying to make? We could argue that Bethesda goes hand in hand with Xbox, but when it comes to Activision, when it comes to like some of the stuff with Blizzard and all that stuff, there is kind of like a chemistry I think they would have to like work on. But I think that is the good thing about Sony when it comes to them buying studios, is because it's like, look, we get along, so it's like, fuck it, let's merge.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I see from my perspective anyway. So it's just like, it's been, look at it, I'm just giving, it's just there anyway. So Insomniac has started to make a game from the beginning, right, for PlayStation near enough. So over time period, they have developed a very good rapport between each other. So it was just like, you know what, fuck it, I might as well join you and just become on, just work under you at this point. Because what was it, the first Spider-Man game on PlayStation 1? Bro, that shit was sick.
It was
Right?
hot,
And
wasn't
it's
it?
just, yeah, it was sick. I was just sitting there and I fucking played that game and completed it 100% on PlayStation 1. I never even switched off my PlayStation 1 because of that fucker, because I didn't have a memory card.
Stan
Right.
Lee has a voice in this game too.
Sorry?
I said Stan Lee had voice in that game too.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, that was pretty dope, and yeah, the
Yeah, I
overall
mean-
commentary of that game, and honestly, I really liked that game from start to finish. Like they
Yeah,
did the
man, the
comics
whole-
justice. They did the
Like the
comics
whole-
justice, and like the storyline was pretty dope too.
Exactly. The storyline is what got me hooked on it, and the whole entire open world aspect of it, just swinging about and doing things like that. Shit was way ahead of its time. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So yeah, I was just like, yeah, it makes more sense as you work along with the studio for such a long time. It's like, all right, so since you've been doing it for such a long time, merging is just a way to go with it naturally. Like it happens with many companies in this way, right? So at the end of the day, it's not about good or evil at this point. It's just what's benefiting the company, right? What is happening? What's going to happen? If they sit there and say, compare to being good and evil, where Xbox did this, Sony did this, that shit is never going to fucking end, bro. That shit is never going to end, and it will carry on like this until the very fucking end, until one of the companies actually turn into one big fucking company. You know what I mean? So.
I
It's
think
just-
people are just blowing it out of proportion because of the amount of money, right?
Exactly.
And the IPs included, right? So like, or maybe it's just because like they can put into perspective like how big Call of Duty is. Like if I came over to you, Punk and Joker and Krow, and I said, hey, look, I bought a bunch of cars, and you're like, okay, cool, and I said, hey, I spent $100,000 on cars. And you'd be like, okay. And then I say, I bought an Audi R8. And you say, oh, that's a nice car. But if I told you I bought 6 Honda Civics, you'd be like, why do you need 6? And that's essentially that's how it is.
That's a good analogy.
That's how it is. People are like, well, what do you need 6 for, bro? Are you crazy, bro? Like, what do you don't need that much? You just got money to spend like that? But nobody bats an eye when somebody spends $100,000 on one thing.
Exactly.
Or in this case, one studio over the course of 1 month, and the next studio next month, the next studio next month, right? Nobody bats an eye because they're like, oh, cool, it's an acquisition. Like, hey, we're slowly getting smaller. Like, people don't see the incremental increases as something like of a threat. They don't see it because they don't have perspective. They don't understand how big it is, right? So when somebody said like, oh, congrats, they bought Insomniac for 250 million, or let's say 300 million, right? I don't remember the exact number, but 300 million. People are like, oh, we know Insomniac. They make Ratchet and Clank and a couple other games, and then that's it. But if I say Activision, and then you say, what does Activision make? And then you say, oh, they make Call of Duty, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, and then you're like, whoa, those are really big names. Like, people put that into perspective. They know how much Call of Duty sells. They know how big Call of Duty is. If they look on their shelf, they have 10 Call of Duties in the last decade. So they go, wow, they own Call of Duty now? That's crazy. That's evil. That's bad. Because it's perspective. They can understand how big Call of Duty is. But they don't understand how big Ratchet and Clank is. Or, conversely, they don't understand how big Spider-Man is, because to them, it's just Spider-Man, right? Like, boo-hoo.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's the whole entire thing. Is like, look, bro, at this point, just good for you. Just fuck it, go for it. You know what I mean? Just let's hope for the best, and hopefully, it's like what can I say? It's like, imagine if Sony went up to EA and be like, "Look, bro, let me just buy your whole company out." Then people will be like, "Yo, EA, you lot are evil." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
people would be
you
like,
got-
yo, EA, that's Madden. That's like all the sports games
exactly.
and Battlefield. That's like, to them, they understand how big that is.
And then you have studios like
Man, that's-
Respawn with the Star Wars games and Titanfall and all that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They have like Skate, Battlefield. Like they just, it's a big chunk of pie. They know exactly how much it's worth. They know how big of a section of the industry it occupies, right? But if Sony went out and bought a racing game studio, like Zero Game Studio that makes WRC every other year or every year, that is like only has 50 employees, people would be like, I don't even know who they are.
Whatever.
I mean, it's just the thing is like people wanted Microsoft to compete, and they're competing with the best asset they have, which is money. And I find it funny how people are saying, oh, this is not fair and this is evil. They're buying up everything. And it's like, dude, you're the ones that wanted them to compete. So make up your mind. Do you want them to compete or do you want them to stay their place? Pick
Like
one and go with it.
competition amongst companies is a healthy thing, especially for
Yes.
gamers.
Yeah.
For gamers, right? Because all of this acquisition and everything is like that is like you're gonna see what's gonna happen, and you'll be like, oh, this game might come over here. It just starts generating a buzz amongst gamers, and then they'll start investing more into that company, right? And at the end of the day, the winners is the company, right? And we are just enjoying the products from those companies. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the end point of it. So sitting here and speculating about who's good, who's evil, who's doing this, who's doing that, that's not going to get you nowhere.
Well, I think the people pointing the finger often see it as something along the lines of like, well, we want it to be fair. Like, what is
Mhm.
fair?
Yeah.
Like, what I
define
don't,
fair in
yeah, I don't
business.
understand what fair in business is, right? If
Mm.
somebody's offering, if Melodic Punk says, "Hey, I'll sell you my entire discography," like, look at The Witcher, right? The author sold the rights to the books for like a measly $100,000. And you know what the guys at CDPR put that at now? Like, it's like it's like Geralt of Rivia is on the Polish stamp. It's like one of the highest exports in Poland. Poland now has a grant if you have a video game company because of CDPR. And you know what the author said? Hey, can I get a slice of pie? They said, no, you sold us the rights for your chunk of change, and now you have to deal with it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, there is a law in America where you could possibly get the rights back to your original, like Friday the 13th, for example. Like, the main person that wrote that movie and wrote that script, he wanted to go to Paramount and get the rights to his movie back, and that's why they had that huge lawsuit going on between the director and the writer, because they were trying to distinguish who was the first one to come up with that series first. But of course, other countries' laws are going to be different when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't see a problem with Microsoft buying something to quote unquote stay competitive, right? Because, like you said earlier, you have to be selling to be bought.
Yeah.
Like, Microsoft's not going to come in and say, "Hey, Punk, here's a here's a $5 bill. I want your company," and it's like there's nobody's holding a gun to you.
Yeah, they're gonna laugh you off and say, "If you don't get out of here,"
Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh, who let you in?"
And the thing is, go ahead,
Yeah,
Joker.
sorry. Yes, no, it's all right. Carry on.
I was just gonna say, it's like the thing with gaming, especially going into this generation, is that it's so accessible nowadays, because it's like you can buy the cheapest Switch for $200. You can buy a PS5, assuming you can fucking find one, and then you have the Xbox Series S, which is $300, and then you pick up Game Pass. So it's like, dude, like, at the end of the day, it's not that hard to go multi-platform, assuming you can afford it. So if there's a game that you want to play, you're going to go to that platform, point blank, period.
Exactly. And look at it this way, right? Like, you can compare it to all evil. Now, let's just say a company was getting liquidified, right? And then afterwards, companies like Microsoft or Sony will go ahead and purchase it. Like, okay, let's see if we can do something about it. You know what? That's going to be an angelic story amongst the whole entire fucking gamers. It's not going to be considered as fucking evil, will it? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, they're trying to revive that, keep that company safe. They're gonna try and build it back up again. That's good for them. That's the kind of news you're gonna fucking see on Twitter and fucking YouTube everywhere. It's gonna be plastered everywhere. So at the end of the day, you're still acquiring that company. Why are you not telling that it's still evil? It's still that whole entire perspective of pointing fingers and saying this is bad, this is good. That shit is fucking bonkers, man. That shit is fucking crazy. So, okay, I'm just gonna be seeing, like, you know what? I'm gonna get something new, something exciting. Let's see what we're gonna get.
You know
That's
what's
what
new
I'm
and
seeing.
exciting?
What?
I'm sorry, this is a question that Krow answered me earlier when I was going robotic. I want Time Shift, a new one. I don't know why, I just really like that game. I have really fond memories of that game, playing it on PlayStation 3. And I want what was the other one? I want Singularity. I also too
Singularity.
have
Ooh.
very fond memories of that, and Singularity could take the occupy the same space as like Prey or Dishonored. So it's not like they don't have a studio in-house that already is familiar with that kind of concept, that kind of first person with a mechanic attached to it. So I don't know. Those two would be the ones that I like because I spent a lot I like Singularity again. The faux history is great. The mechanic is really cool. It's a very unique game. And I like Time Shift because mechanics were unique, multiplayer was fun, fast paced, and it felt like Halo without shields. It was great. I liked it anyways.
I really enjoyed Singularity. I loved it, to be honest. It was, I think it was like around the same time as Resistance as well, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Resistance.
exactly. So having those two games side by side is like, oh, it's in a similar kind of a concept shit. Let's see what's gonna happen, you know. So I really enjoyed Singularity, but you'll see. Like I said, hopefully, we'll get something new and exciting, and it'll be a win-win for most of the gamers out there, right? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you think about the transaction, this is just Microsoft making the most out of the situation. The fact that Activision had a bad rep over the last couple of years, and the stock plummeted at the all-time low. So this is just Phil Spencer and Satya, whipping out their near infinite bank account and making this transaction happen. Like that's
I mean,
it's business at the end of the day. And actually, there was someone made a good point that Activision, before they were valued at about $150 billion. So that dropping down to 70 billion, like that's a huge steal by Microsoft to acquire.
yeah, I mean, like I said, first, like you said, first of all, they had the money, they have the money to back up for it, and second of all, as soon as all this shit that started kicking off about Activision, their share value that plummeted. Right. So at this point, the only saving hope was before the shares carry on plummeting down, let's put it for sale. And that's exactly what happened. And Microsoft got the whiff of it and it's like, yeah, I'll buy it off of you.
Yeah, I know
You
there
know what I
was
mean?
talk of like a golden dustpan, but it's like, dude, that's like the best time to buy a company.
Yeah,
It's like
facts.
we can either let this company die or go to one of our competitors, or we can pick this up for ourselves for a great deal. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why, Disney bought Fox because they're trying to get content for Disney Plus. Microsoft's trying to get content for Game Pass. So, hey, if we get one of the biggest AAA developers, I mean, not AAA, if we get one of the biggest third party developers in the gaming market, then that's to our benefit, especially for like about 50% off. Let's go. Let's take this deal. So, I don't blame them for wanting to drop that money.
Yeah. And yeah, so I did want to get into our final topic. It's getting a bit late here. I did want to bring up the Game Pass mentality, and this is the mentality of not directly supporting the game developers, but hoping the idea of hoping that a game comes to Game Pass. Now, there was a clip of XCast. Paris was commenting on a friend, and no disrespect to Paris. He was just commenting on the situation.
He was off, bro. Full disrespect.
Nah, we're not gonna do that, yo.
Sorry, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Uh,
I'm kidding. No,
so Paris
no
said
internet drama.
So Paris said, I heard. So this was basically a comment from a friend, right? So I heard Death's Door was such an awesome game, but he said I'm holding out on it till it hits Game Pass. And so what Paris says is that the mentality that he has, and I've seen this from other people as well, is that they would rather hold off and hope that the game that they really want to play comes to Game Pass versus buying it when it's directly available. And I do feel like this definitely hurts especially the indie developers with their whole profits that they could potentially earn. When it comes to Death's Door, like that was an absolute fantastic game. Like I feel like Devolver Digital definitely deserved their hard-earned money for making such a incredible game. What are your thoughts on this whole Game Pass mentality?
I mean, it all, you see, when a company like Microsoft developed this kind of incentive for gamers, right? So, you can pay $10 a month to play all these games that's available. That's like giving a fucking golden egg to a consumer, right? The main reason being is people who cannot afford to fork out $40-50 straight up front, right? For whatever reason it is, like they don't have spare cash or here or anything like that. It's like, oh, I don't mind paying $10 a month, which is basically nothing compared to buying £50, £60 worth of games instantly on the spot. So, for example, they might have around like, I don't know, for example, look at February's upcoming releases, right? So, minimum each game, I would say, would be about £30 and above, right? So, when a consumer sees this, is like, oh, I want to play 3 games out of that whole entire list, and it's like, I can't afford it, but if I do get it on a Game Pass, I get to still play all of them for just $10, right? £10, $10, whatever it is. So that Game Pass mentality was the companies are responsible for it, right? However, I agree, it does not support developers, it will hurt them in a long run, right? So for a quick, short period, that consumers enjoy it, but it hurts the developers because, for all you know, they might not get the correct amount of money, the deal between the company and the developers, right? Yes, they will get a good chunk of money, but for what the sales numbers will generate for actually selling the game without being on XPass is a way higher figure than being on the actual Game Pass itself. So the Game Pass mentality is all for convenience sakes for gamers, really. That's what it is. And I feel like eventually, as the time progresses, you're gonna see a lot of subscription based things, right? Because that's the kind of notion this whole entire new generation is gonna go on. And it's gonna carry on like that until people stop it and be like, you know what? I want to support the developers. I want to make sure that they can produce more games for us. I want to do this, that, and everything. So in my mind, it's just like, look, I can see the consumer side of things and I can see the developers aspect of things, and it just, at this point, it just sucks, you know. So I'm just torn in between of this mentality thing for the Game Pass. So we'll see. Hopefully, the developers get the right amount of share, like, fair deal, just being on the Game Pass, like, giving the games to Game Pass to be on there, and at the same time, the company who actually, like, the consumers will actually benefit off of it properly. So that's my
Yeah.
take on it.
So I am eager to hear what Deli has to say on this. And so what are your thoughts, man, on this whole Game Pass mentality thing?
I mean, for consumers, streaming services are mighty convenient, and at the end of the day, convenient is the key word for varying social, economical statuses, financial statuses, class issues, whatever it may be, right? Convenient is the key here, right? There's a reason why the Series S exists at the price point that exists. There's a reason why Game Pass exists at the price point that exists. There's a reason why these are bundled together for the price that exists. And that's because they're taking advantage of things of accessibility and across the board, right? I've said this plenty of times on your podcast. Like, I came from a household that was able to buy one AAA game a year. So if I go back to 12 or 14-year-old me and I said, hey Deli, here's Game Pass. $15 a month. You can scramble that up, right? Like $15 a month. And you have all the games. Let's fast forward into the future. You have Call of Duty, you have Battlefield, you have this, you have X, Y, you get blah, 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 this and that. If you told me that, I would have stayed on the Xbox platform. If you told me that I had the ability to play all of the new games, I would. But as we get older, the popular demographic of video gamers is somewhere between 16 and 25, right? So in between that time, we have a lot of time. There's a large span of time and energy, but there's a scarce amount of money, right? So if Game Pass is $15 a month, you can definitely target that large audience. The majority of gamers are 16 to 25. You can sell it to them and take advantage of something like that, right? So the Game Pass mentality is pretty much 90% consumer driven, if not 100% consumer driven. Because I have yet to hear a game developer say, "Hey man, check my game out on Game Pass." Nobody says that, bro. Like the fact that we sell our game to Game Pass and let's say they give us a deal for it, and then we make majority of our money on Game Pass on DLCs and other things. If people play our game on Game Pass and don't buy our game physically or digitally, or don't invest in the DLC, we might not be making that much money. And of course, this varies from deal to deal, case from case, developer to developer, depending on the first party, third party. There's a variety of aspects that affect these deals that go into place, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, if we're talking uniform across the line, if you are playing a game on Game Pass, we are making pennies per downloads. So if it's, a tenth of a penny per download, 2 million streams, that's $20,000. That's not a lot.
Yeah.
And if you spend 5 or 6 years in a video game like Studio MDHR, the guys behind Cuphead, sold their house and lived in their car for several years to pay for the game. So if you told them, hey, put their game on Game Pass, and they make a measly $20,000 plus whatever they made up front, do you think it would have been enough to have an orchestral score in the game? Do you think it would have been enough to finish the hand-drawn animations in the game? I don't know. But it didn't, obviously it became like a hit phenomena, and now has a show on Netflix. So obviously money is not a struggle to them. But if you propose to them a deal that you would think that this is a fair deal, do you think they would take it? Do you think it would be beneficial to them as a developer to take it? Two people who've, again, sold their house, lived in their car to pay off their debts to build this video game. Put their marriages on the line for this video game. If they're desperate enough, they may take the deal. And as a publisher, you may lowball them. Who knows? They're a business, not a soup kitchen. You know what I mean? I can't speak for what Phil Spencer and team are doing at ID at Xbox on the daily. But, like I said, they're a business, not a soup kitchen. So if they happen to lowball, which many publishers do, then, that it's harmful.
Negotiation is the key word in this.
Yeah. If they're not making physical sales, they're not making majority of their money. It's as simple as that. Or physical and digital. I don't want to just exclusively say physical sales. But if they're not making sales, they're not making that much money.
And that's the thing. So when you say physical and digital, me being in the country where physical sales matter the most, it says it all, right? So it makes a lot of sense, especially what Deli is saying. And I hope, like I said, the developers get their fair share, and they're doing hopefully Phil Spencer and everyone from Xbox is giving the developers the correct amount of money or whatever it is that they're going to be receiving, and utilize it very well for them. So
yeah. Who knows? A small developer could have $100 million and they could be eating good for the rest of their life, right? Who actually knows? I don't know. Again, this varies case by case. But if we were to look at the bottom line, not every developer that hosts their game on Game Pass is going to be successful. And then, like I touched earlier in the podcast, everybody wants to make a successful product. So that, I posted a thread on Twitter and some people were responding well, if they just made a good game, it would be good. That's not easy. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? You can't just make a good game. Like Punk knows, you can't just make a good product. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
There's marketing, there's timing, there's trends, there's genres. There's so much that goes into just making a product, regardless of what it is: music, video games, movies, art. It's not just going to be successful because it's quote unquote good. So
Yeah, because good is
I
going to be something very subjective to a lot of people.
And like, look at it this way right now. I opened up Xbox Game Pass right now, right? So I'm looking through all the games. Out of all the games that there is there right now, probably just 10 of them caught my eye, and
Yeah.
I will give it a try, right? But the remaining, what's happening to those developers? Like, are they still getting money for me clicking download or stream or play, whatever it is? No, I don't know. You know, so it's like out of the whole entire games list over here, the 10 most, the ones that's caught my eye, that's the one I'm going to be playing most of the time, and those developers will get their share for that. So hopefully they get it in the right way.
Yeah, so I did want to quote Broken Games HDR. He did make a reply to this. So he says, I said this months ago, people refusing to even pay for a quality game and cheap product is not a good thing. And this is in reference to his tweet he made earlier. There is no price that people won't complain about these days. When I saw people wouldn't even pay $15 for that store, I told y'all shit was gonna get bad out here. So yeah, that's definitely a problem, man. I hate that people were downplaying that store. Like, yo, that store was a solid quality game. It's kind of like reminiscent
really
of
good game.
the old Zelda type of style. Like, man, like the boss design uh was just very like it's like the boss design was a very top of the line, man. Like, when it comes to the bosses, it's like it's very unique how they made the game and all the dungeons and things like that.
That
Like,
Yeti keeps kicking my ass though in that game.
like let's be honest though. Like on this, out of all the games, like you're quoting right now, right? So, how many people do you think out of the whole entire population that actually owns the Game Pass, right, will be playing that game? To be honest with you, because for all I can see, Xbox Game Pass is mainly enabling people to play with, like for example, your friends, for example, right? So if they
Yeah.
have fucking a Halo, they'll be like, "Oh shit, that's on Xbox. Okay, I can play with my friends. I can, go online, start playing with friends, and this, that, and everything." And then there are some unique titles like the single player modes and stuff like that, like that you will be like, "Oh, you know what? I want to be able to be play this game too because I wanted to play it. Now I can play it." Right. So it's just a very, how do you call it, an unbalanced review from a lot of people regarding Game Pass, and then afterwards, at the same time, we don't know what's behind the scenes on how these developers are going to get funded with that. So that if we knew something about it, and I'm guarantee right now, if that deals amongst these companies are good, you're gonna hear a lot of developers go approaching Xbox, be like, "Oh, you know what? Let's put my game on Game Pass because I know it will make some money. It will, whatever it is." So it is what it is, man. I mean, I just, like I said, I hope the developers get the fair share, and it just.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so with the for in my opinion, Game Pass does have a few gems here and there. Like, I still need to play Scarlet Nexus. I heard a lot of good things about that. And I think the main issue with Game Pass for me is that it gives you an endless backlog, and if you have a backlog already, like that's definitely a problem, man. Like, when you're trying to get to your own backlog and trying to get to the Game Pass backlog before it gets out of the service.
Yeah, and one of my fucking backlog is, I know a lot of people are gonna fucking cuss me out on this. Is like, I still want to play Hitman. and they just put it on fucking Game Pass, and I was there like, oh my god, okay, they put Hitman Trilogy, all 3 games. And I'm
No,
like,
so like back in December during the Xbox holiday sale, I bought the Mass Effect trilogy for $30. And then a month
Oh.
later they put it in Game Pass and I'm like, what the fuck? I could have saved that $30.
Well, I
for
mean,
that
to be
game.
fair, like it was on the EA Pro service, so it's just a matter of time before they switch their games from the EA Pro tier and they they switch it from the Pro tier to the basic plan, and that's why it comes with Game Pass, because Game Pass actually gives you the basic tier of the EA Play as well. So
But at
that's
least I know that I own the game, so like I don't have to worry about getting to that game as quickly as possible through Game Pass.
mhm.
oh yeah,
all
that's
that
that's a
stuff.
good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah, I was gonna get it on PC, but I was like, I'll get this game on console. It's RPG, why not?
Yeah, so all right, so with this topic here, the Game Pass mentality, did you guys have any final points on this topic?
No, I just wanted to disclose I'm not a Game Pass hater. I am not a Microsoft hater. I'm not a Sony hater. I'm whatever. I just I'm passionate about my brothers and sisters in the game development industry being treated fairly and properly, and we have a long way to go. And there is change coming on the horizon. It's just change that we can't necessarily see very clearly. So that's a lot of the reason where my passion comes from, is making sure that they're all right, because obviously that's my workspace. So if things go well, I'm happy. If things don't go well, I'm unhappy. It directly, whatever happens to them directly happens to me as well too down the line.
Yeah. Uh, okay, and it's time to wrap up the show here, and appreciate you guys joining for the episode. And let's start with Agent Deli.
Hi, thank you guys for coming to our show. Also, Joker and Melodic Punk, thank you guys for coming back on the show. I really appreciate that. It's always nice to see familiar faces again. Again, my name is Agent Deli, co-host of the show. And you guys can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, just under Agent Deli, Instagram as well too. I'm mostly on Twitter, but again, I'm former AAA game developer at Ubisoft, and now I do NDA work. But yeah, interact with me on Twitter.
It's always a good time with you, Deli, and let's go with Joker Gamer V3.
I'm happy to be back for this episode, and I appreciate y'all. And it was, just listening to us and everything like that. So we're just saying how it is, what we feel. So please don't take it in a negative aspect and think that we are hating on everything. It's just what we feel at this point of time. So other than that, thank you again, Krow, for having me back, and Agent Deli. Good to see you again.
It's a
And,
pleasure, my friend, always.
and Melodic Punk. Nice to meet you again for the third time. And yeah, man. Hopefully, everyone progresses through everything, whatever they endeavor in the future. So again, you can catch me on Twitter. I'll be sitting there and observing shit like what Strictly and Deli will be doing. So most of the time, and then afterwards I'll have my input. But other than that, hope you all come back and watch the show again.
Yeah, we're trying to start it up again. Maybe, we'll see if we can do it bi-weekly or, more often these days. And let's get into the outro of the Melodic Punk. Where can the good people find you?
Appreciate y'all for having me on. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see some familiar faces there. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at TheMelodicPunk. You can find me on Twitch at just Melodic Punk. And I just recently opened up a Instagram page at TheMelodicPunk, and I'm going to be posting a lot of gaming content on there. Some photos, like setup stuff, collection stuff, as well, thanks to IGTV, full YouTube video content. So I will definitely be posting there a lot more often. Wednesday night, I'm thinking around 8 p.m., I'm going to be continuing my playthrough of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on Master Mode difficulty. Getting prepared for the next Zelda game. I'm really excited. And is there anything else I want to talk about? No, thanks for having me on. It's very fun to talk about this acquisition, and it's good to be able to get on a platform and speak about it. It's awesome.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely appreciate your insight on the topics. You definitely killed it yet again, and you're honestly becoming a really good a podcaster as a guest, man. It's really great to see. So I appreciate you guys catching the show live, and for those who do watch it later and you do make it to the end, y'all are the real MVPs. I appreciate y'all. And this is your boy, Theslykrow, signing off. And if you'd like to be notified of any future episodes, make sure you hit the like and hit the subscribe. It means a lot to us.